Don't come and die for these companies, because if you passed away tomorrow, they would replace you the next day. Hi, I'm Reni.
And I'm Saima.
And you're watching the Disney Channel. How do you do this? Hi everyone, welcome to my channel, or if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. I do appreciate you for taking your time to watch this video. I'm Reni, and on my channel I do finance, career, and lifestyle content. Today, as you can see, I have a very special guest, and this is Saima. Hi Saima.
Hey Reni.
Thanks for being on my channel. Today we're going to be talking about careers, and what we're going to be talking about is how to know when you need to leave your job. 6 signs that you need to leave your job. Saima and I actually just recently left our jobs. As you know, I've left mine, but Saima also left hers. She actually was kind of the inspiration behind me leaving my job. And I have known Saima since university. We went to Schulich together. I thought it would be great to not just hear from my perspective, but also Saima's as well. So yeah, we're really excited. Saima, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Saima. As Reni said, we both went to Schulich together. That's where we became friends, and now I'm Reni's #1 fan.
Real one. She's a real one.
Yeah, I'd like tell everyone to follow her. But yeah, super proud of her and really excited to be here today. So from Schulich, I graduated with a degree in marketing, or specialized in marketing and entrepreneurial studies. And then shortly after, I started a marketing internship at a CPG. And then I stayed there and got promoted a few times and quit this summer.
So she took part in the Great Resignation, I guess.
Yes.
Just as I think like 2 of our friends quit as well.
Yeah, 2 of our other friends.
Yeah, in the same Schulich friend group. So yeah, lots of people are quitting right now. I guess seeing Saima do it and it not like her world didn't end, like she just went on as normal. It was like, okay, I feel confident that it'll be okay when I quit.
It was definitely scary, but as long as you're prepared, and Reni can link that video on how to prepare to
we'll
quit.
leave it up here.
It's worth it. It's so worth it in so many ways. Yeah. So I was a brand marketer at a Fortune 500. I was working on brands that many of you guys know, I'm sure you do. And
yes. I just want to, I'm not going to say the name of the company, but you guys all know.
Everyone knows.
Yeah. Everyone
all over the world.
Yeah.
But they were really exciting brands, and they were brands that were relevant in my life. So it was super fun to be working on brands that I already interacted with and didn't have to fake loving. And I was working on really cool portfolios, the seasonal portfolio specifically for the category. And because of that, it was really fast paced. We had a super lean team. There was a lot to get done, a lot of pressure, a lot on the line, but it was always exciting, and it was a good experience, and I'm glad that I got to do it.
And also, what are you doing now, if you want to plug anything?
Yeah, so because I have that entrepreneurial spirit in me as well, I feel like I dedicated a lot of my years after graduation on the marketing side and learned so much. But now that I quit and I have the opportunity to do my own thing, I'm working on a few side businesses that I'm kind of putting together and strategizing. They haven't all come to life yet, but I'm living at home with my parents right now. I have the financial cushion to really take the time not work and just do my own thing. So yeah, stay tuned.
Yeah.
Maybe Reni will tell you on her channel in a few months.
We want to emphasize that we're not telling everyone that you should just go and quit your job, and especially do not quit without a plan, but we just wanted to give our personal experiences with leaving our jobs and what we're doing now, and maybe just a few signs to let you know that you should also consider quitting or moving to a new team within your organization or at another organization. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button, and please hit that like button, comment, and share this video. It does mean the world to me. So let's get into the 6th sign. Okay, so the first sign that I think that indicates that it's time for you to leave your job is that the responsibilities and your workload have increased greatly, but your pay or title has not. In my experience, as many of you know if you watched my quitting video, I actually was taking on the role of like 2 people, but I was not getting the salary of 2 people. And I think this happens pretty often. Like people will leave and then they will not replace the person who left, or they'll take forever to replace the person, or like, I don't know, they'll just give you extra tasks that will increase your workload, but again, your pay is not increasing and your job title is staying the same.
So for me, it was different. There weren't people who were coming and leaving. Well, technically there are, but we'll get to that later. But I felt like, at the end of the year, when you do that year-end assessment, you really reflect on how much responsibility you had 1 year ago versus the current year in the same role.
Yeah.
And what I noticed was I was taking on so much more, a lot more strategic work that was done by someone in a role higher than me. And the expectation was that I should be getting at least a salary increase, if not a promotion. And when that didn't come, it sucked. It was really disappointing, but it also kind of just crushes your confidence at the same time, because you feel like you weren't doing as much as you actually thought you were doing. But of course that it was wrong. I had family and friends who were watching me go through so much more of a workload. If you're not being recognized for that change, you should know that it might be a sign.
Yeah, might be. If you are someone who's an individual contributor and your job is to execute, but now you are doing strategy work, that's pretty much a level up what your manager should be doing. So if you're not getting, I'm not saying that they're gonna make you a manager as well and put you on the same level, but they should really increase, like
at least get paid more.
Yeah, at least get paid more,
Especially if you're working for a big company.
Yeah, they have the money, I promise you.
Okay, so the second sign is that the company has questionable practices that don't align with your morals.
Yeah.
Do you have any examples?
Yes, I do, actually. But actually not my company. The company that I was at previously was actually pretty great. But one thing that I noticed is last year when, unfortunately, George Floyd was murdered, a lot of companies were speaking about diversity and inclusion and like Black Lives Matter and a lot of things like that. But then there were some companies that were just silent. They didn't say anything. There were no changes made, or they said things and then didn't follow up with with whatever they said. So I would say if you are in one of those companies that did not say anything about what happened and that conflicts with your morals, maybe it's time to look for a company that does agree with your morals.
Yeah, and I think it depends on like if that really matters to you. If that I don't know if the sign would apply to everyone.
Yeah.
Because some people are like okay to brush it off, but I know for both of us it's a big factor or a big barrier that keeps us from being dedicated to a company or a job. One example I can think of is, again, last year after George Floyd's death or murder, it sparked a lot of change in companies like across the country, across North America, even the globe. And sometimes companies didn't do it the right way, or they did it very superficially, where some of their brands, and this is externally speaking, not internally, weren't speaking in the right tone or with the right correct actions, linked to what the public needed to see in order to be deemed genuine or authentic. And I feel like that kind of cookie cutter formula that they had put in place, I had seen at times in my company, in other CPGs that are really similar, and it just didn't sit well with me. The other thing was internally, we had created an ERG group, which is great. It was a huge step forward because nothing like that existed before, but it just put on a lot of pressure and work on the people who volunteered their time to do it. And it got very exhausting, and I felt like it wasn't being recognized fully by leadership, because I feel like I should have gotten paid more.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a lot more work that we put into it, and there just needs to be real change that's going to be a long-lasting change and not put more pressure and burnout on the employees at the company.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a huge thing that happens when they create an ERG, and an ERG is Employee Resource Group, by the way. For example, I was on the leadership team of the Black Professionals Network, but all the responsibility is kind of on that group in order to like make the change. So it's like the marginalized people are making the change. What about the non-marginalized people? Like, what are they doing? Or are they gonna and I also have my full-time job on top of this ERG volunteer work, right? So if your company is not willing to pay for a chief inclusion officer, a chief diversity officer, or even just like a consultant or something like that who actually is getting paid, or just to pay you extra to do the work, then maybe it's time.
Because there are definitely really passionate people at the companies that are really good at this too. Yeah. There were so many good people at my company who were doing an amazing job with the ERG, but again, like, they should get paid more, because it's so much more beyond the scope of their role.
So if you're in this situation, maybe it's a sign to leave.
And you're not a bad person for leaving a company because
I actually listened to a podcast, and this girl was saying that, like, do not basically it's a Nigerian saying, but like, don't come and die for these companies, because if you passed away tomorrow, they would replace you the next day. Although it's good to give your effort to a job, you know, there's limits to this. Remember that everyone is technically replaceable. So.
Or your replacement will have the title that you wanted.
And the pay that you demanded. Yes, very, very true.
Yeah.
So the third sign that it may be time to leave your company is that you are not learning anything new and there are no opportunities for growth at the companies.
I was working in product marketing, and every year was pretty much the same cycle. And I had gone through about 2.5 years of that cycle, so I had done 2.5 cycles. And the first year was obviously like brand new to me. It was such a great learning experience. I never went through the whole year in the process of innovating and launching something before. And the second year was a bit repetitive, but again, you're still learning so much. But then the following like half of the year while I was at the company, I was just like, oh my god, this is happening again?
Yeah.
Like, what? And I just couldn't imagine, like, even I was just trying to think of my development at the company in total, and how what it would look like if I got the role I wanted. What would be the next step, and where would I move up, and you know, what would it look like? And I realized that it's a different title, but it's the same year, and it's the same things you're doing over and over again.
Exactly.
You're gonna have a different lens on it, but it's just too repetitive. And I was so terrified when I figured that out. Because I'm the type of person who likes spontaneous plans, to like go with the flow, and you know, have like constant change. And I just didn't want to be trapped in that kind of work lifestyle, and it was terrifying to me.
And I think for people who are maybe our parents' age, it's like, why do you guys care?
It's
like
stable.
You're getting paid. It's like you don't need to learn anything new, so it's easy, you know, at a point in time. But for a lot of younger people, millennials, Gen Z, I feel like we just have the desire to always be challenging ourselves and like learning new things, and obviously like growing in the company if that's something that interests us. My experience is pretty much the same, and we both do work in marketing. So as she said, the cycle is the same over and over again, especially if you're in an industry that does not innovate a lot. Like at least you had a bit of innovation.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, in wealth management, like what's the new product that's going to come out to manage someone's money, right? so I would say after a year or so, like I'm kind of like, okay, on to the next one, let's move on to the next thing. So it was fine because I was moving from team to team, so I enjoyed that. But at a certain point, you know, like, you know, you kind of want something new, and that doesn't mean quit your job and do like something completely new. Sometimes it can just be quit your job and move into a new industry, or quit your job and even within the same company move into another company, another department.
Like we're both in marketing, but if you took on my role and I took on your role, like that'd be a whole new learning curve and a different kind of challenge. The fourth sign is that your interests and passions have changed. Do you have any examples, Reni?
Wow, I'm sure you guys can all see that I became a full-time YouTuber, short or content creator. So although it's not a complete shift, because I was working in the financial services industry and I was like creating content at my company, so it's not like a complete shift, but the desire to be more entrepreneurial was something that really appealed to me, and just the desire to do my own thing, create my own brand. It was very different from just following the traditional wealth management path that I was in. So yeah, I guess I didn't do a complete 360 or 180 as many people would. But
yeah, I feel like I'm still interested and passionate about marketing, but it's like the different side of marketing. So the experience that I had in brand marketing was very strategic, and working in a big company, there are certain rules and ways to do things, and you just have to do it that way. And I felt like by following that template that they have in place that you have to do every single year over and over and over again, I was really losing the creativity that I have in me. And I was so intrigued by another creative team at the company that did communication work, and they were working on, you know, like social media campaigns and building like really cool content for brands. So like similar to Reni, I love that content creation aspect of it, and it was just so interesting to me. I used to like hang out with that team all the time, and I felt more like them than I did with my own team. I really felt like an outsider, and I didn't feel like that before, but I think it's just because, again, like your interests and passions change over time, and you just learn more about yourself and what you're looking for. So I quit.
And I
Just
will
kidding. You don't have to quit. You can move.
I was just gonna say, you don't have to quit to explore your passions as well. So I've told you all in my story about my career. I'll link it up here. But I basically started off as a business analyst, and I moved into marketing through like over the course of a year. So, and that's all within the same company. So if you are in the position like Saima, where she was like, oh, there's another team that really excites me and maybe I want to work on this team, you can just like network your way into working on that team if that's something that interests you as well. Or you can quit, whatever you want. The fifth sign that you may need to leave your job is if your job is impacting your mental health. I know that I have a few experiences with this, as I talked about in my quitting story, but basically, like, if you are someone who is having anxiety over your workload, and not just, or say your workload has increased dramatically and it's something that's overwhelming and you've voiced to management that like this is not something you can sustain, but they are not taking actions to, you know, fix that, and you're getting anxiety because of it, it may be a sign to like move on. Because your mental health is actually one of the most important things that you can take care of. It impacts your entire life. So that's one of the main reasons that I decided to leave.
Being like anxious, I was so anxious to the point where I was like having nightmares about work.
Oh my gosh, relatable.
It was so bad. And
Relatable.
like, you know, the Sunday scaries, Monday
Yeah.
blues, like those hit so hard. And it's normal, obviously, like who really wants to work? But it was at the next level.
Yeah.
And all I gotta say is you shouldn't be crying. Like if you ever get to the point where you're crying because you're just so stressed and overwhelmed, like that's the biggest sign that I can tell you to look out for. Some of the managers were really helping me kind of manage that feeling and that workload I had. But then other times I was just left on my own. Like, you know, everyone's doing it and you have to do it too.
Yeah. Like,
And then I felt bad. And I was like, am I not capable? Like,
Yes.
am I lesser than?
Yeah.
Because everyone's able to do it and they're not complaining or they weren't even sharing their feelings with other employees.
You kind of start to like doubt yourself and think like, wait, if everyone else can do it, why can't I do it? But a lot of people are in the same boat as you. They're just not expressing that they're not able to manage either. I feel like your company should really be creating or fostering an environment where you can openly voice your concerns, but not just voice them, because it's one thing for us to voice, but like if they're not actually like gonna take action, there's no point of us voicing it, right? If you voiced it many times and your company's not listening, might be a sign.
The sixth and last sign to look out for is you're just not vibing with your manager.
There's no one answer for all people because everyone takes to different management styles, but personally in the past, I've had so many managers, but I've had managers that are micromanagers and I have managers that are laissez-faire.
Micromanagers gives me like PTSD.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's actually a lot to think back to. And no, let me not go into that. But
it's a dark space.
Yeah. So I guess I can talk about my experience with having a management team that like had were very hands off. I'm the type of person who thrives in situations where I can make my own decisions, but like to have zero guidance at all is kind of like, why do I even have a manager if you're not going to give me any guidance at all? So that was one of my experiences in the past. And then I know you've had an experience with the opposite.
Yeah, so I had 4 managers during my like 2.5 years at this company. Every manager I had a totally different style. Some of them I worked really well with and some of them I just didn't click at all. Like we were, you know how opposites attract? Like it wasn't even that. It was just like we just don't get each other and we don't agree and it's just not working, or we have totally different approaches to things and a different kind of work ethic and everything. I was very micromanaged for a long period of time, and I'm the type of person like Reni who I can do things on my own, and I think I'm smart enough to figure things out when there is no direction given to me. But I like that challenge and I like feeling smart because I did it myself. And everything was just so controlled. Like the smallest things I was like told that you should try it this way and then do it this way and that way, and I was like, but I just want to do it my way, or I want to figure it out on my own. And it was just really killing my confidence again. Yeah, it's not even managers though, it's like your leadership team has to understand you too. Yeah, because they're the ones who can really take control and action with your manager, and if you're not getting heard at any of those levels, then there's nobody looking out for you.
I feel like your higher ups, like your manager twice removed or once removed, will be like, oh, come to me with whatever issues you have and like voice them to me. But like it's actually very hard to just go behind your manager's back and be like, go to their manager and be like, hey, your employees, like it's not working out for me. So I tried not to ever do that because
It's like stabbing someone in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it's not working for you, remember, they're just people just like you are. So you can't change, I don't try to change people. It is what it is. So sometimes you just have to remove yourself from the situation.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that like all these managers I had, some of them we just didn't get along, but they were really smart and they did great things for the company and for our business.
Yeah.
It's all about you. It's not about the company. You have to think about you and your development. And if that manager is, you know, killing it with the business and, you know, your team's like the dream team, like gold star, everyone's looking up to you, but you aren't getting anything out of it, it doesn't matter because it's your life, man.
Oh, and another thing that you should do is interview the manager before when you're in the interview process. Because I think a lot of us are like super excited that there's a good job opportunity, but then we don't take the time to interview the manager and the company as well. I have a video about this, about questions you should ask. Like, ask them what their management style is. Of course, sometimes it won't be, they're not going to be like, I'm a micromanager, you know?
Yeah.
But you can ask their team members, you can ask other people who they work with, just so you can get a real feel of it. Because ultimately, you spend a lot of time in your life with like your whole day is basically spent with your management team and like your coworkers. So you want to actually enjoy them, you know.
As long as you make your goal to get something out of whatever it is you're doing, then I think it'll be easier. It'll be easier to make all of your decisions at that point.
Yes.
For me, and I think you too. Like we just got so invested in our companies that we kind of felt bad leaving, and we felt like we can't like leave them to do all this stuff alone because then this isn't gonna get done, this isn't gonna get done. But it's about you. It's not about this giant company that can live without you.
I hope this was helpful, everyone, and I hope that you have learned some signs that it may be time to leave your job. If you have any other signs, please leave them down below. So Saima, do you want to plug anything?
Sure. Yeah. This will be my shameless plug. It may not apply to everyone, but you could support my super small business called the 2 a.m. Talk. It's essentially a deep conversation card game for the Muslim community, but you don't have to be. They're very just spiritually based questions, and it's super fun to play. And you could just, you know, follow me at the 2 a.m. Talk on Instagram or check out the 2amtalk.com.
Perfect. And I'll leave all of that here, and also I'll leave it in the description box below. So thank you, Saima, for being on my channel once again.
Thanks, Reni.
I appreciate you.
We're gonna go eat now.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
Bye.